greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that said over and over again. Today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that said over and over again. Today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that said over and over again. Today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that said over and over again. Today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that said over and over again. Today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to another one of our programs. Just to say that said over and over again. Today is a little bit greetings, brothers and sisters. Welcome to Imaging Nation. Welcome to
Yeah.
greetings, brothers and sisters. Having some technical issues at the present time, but wondering if you can hear me, and really wanted to get this program started. Don't know if you can hear me. Have you been able to log on to find out?
Don't say nothing now. Turn the volume up and see if it's gone away.
Volume is back up now. Yes.
So it's repeating itself as it comes out. But you don't have to listen to yourself. Don't listen to yourself. There's no need for you to listen to yourself.
Yeah. So I do need some type of indication actually to see whether or not everything is playing as it should be now. I'm getting indication that the sound is fine. So you should be able to hear me. We've just been having a little bit of a martial arts display because we are dealing with Black History Month, and whether we really appreciate it or not, martial arts is a significant and major part of Black history. And we really want to just remind our people that, martial arts actually belongs to us, it's ours. So we need to reclaim that, like we need to reclaim so many things which it's saying here that the internet is unstable. So I'm a little bit concerned about that, but we shall press on. But yeah, we do need to reclaim so much, brothers and sisters, that belongs to us. So, brothers and sisters, welcome to this episode of Imagination. We are currently live streaming, and we just want to get our program moving along. So, greetings, assalamu alaikum, shalom, shalom. All of the greetings to all of the different people who may be tuned in, logged in at the present time. Welcome to our Black History Month special. The Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the study of history is best qualified to reward all of our research. This is what he has taught us, and we know it to be an absolute truism, that history is such a very important subject. Unfortunately, the way they teach a lot of the young people, it makes them run in the opposite direction, because they make it very, very boring. In this country, it would be about 1066 and the Battle of Hastings, and it won't relate directly to the individual. So the individual thinks, well, it's something, you know, and antiquated, and it's really not real. But if I was to ask any of you your shoe size, you'd be able to tell me why, because historically you got your foot measured. If you decide that you want to purchase a house tomorrow, one of the first things you have to do is get a surveyor to have a look at the history of that property in order to determine whether or not that will be a sound investment. In everything that we do, if you go to the doctor and you got a problem, the first question the doctor is going to ask you is, when did these symptoms begin? Have you ever had these symptoms before? If you go to the dentist, he can't just begin straight away working on the particular problem that you have in your mouth. He has to go and he has to look at all of the teeth and look at the history of your teeth in order to determine what work has been done before, etc., etc. So, you know, this is just one example of how we have to teach history to young people, enabling the person to put themselves in the center of the historical lesson, because outside of that, it really doesn't work, brothers and sisters. We have to make history something real for people. Now, we did plan to have a special performance today by our brother P.O.W.E.R. It doesn't look at the present time that we're going to really be able to make that happen. Maybe when we put this video out, we'll put a couple of his tracks on there, because, you know, this brother is really something else at the present time. He's really blowing up in this country and really throughout the world, those who know about P.O.W.E.R. And so he was going to be doing something for us today. But as I said, we've had some technical challenges, so we may not be able to bring brother P.O.W.E.R. to the program today. But moving on, also, there's a little, you know, we were just looking at the brothers and sisters doing some martial arts, and they were doing a little display. And what I'm going to do today is talk to us a little bit about Black history, and I'm also going to show something that relates to martial arts that's not been compiled by myself or any of my team, but something which I found on the internet, which I believe is very, very important, very interesting on this subject of martial arts. Now, you know, I just wanted to say this, brothers and sisters: fact being stranger than fiction is not just a saying. You know, we hear that all the time. a fact being stranger than fiction. But it's an actual fact of life, especially when it comes to the true identity and the hidden history of Black people, even though our history is often hidden in plain sight. This is something I want us to get to grips with, because so much of what we have to do as activists in a world like this is constantly trying to reveal things which really are there for people to see, but oftentimes we don't see it because of the nature of the world that we live in. So some of you may be shocked or incredulous by what we're about to share, but nonetheless, it's the truth. Not all of the negative or unflattering descriptions written about us in the presentation that we're about to see are necessarily 100% accurate. But what is accurate is that the people being discussed who were occupying the historical space and time right here in Europe and elsewhere in the world was in fact our ancestors. And this is what we really want to share with you today. Brothers and sisters, whether we really appreciate it or not, the Queen of England, the British royal family, or any of the other European royal families could not exist today unless they emerged out of the original Black royalty, who in the beginning established their kingdoms all over the earth. This is a reality that many of us will have to come to terms with, even though we may struggle with the idea and the concept on just initially hearing it. Before that, let's take a trip down memory lane to remember what I used to look like, but more importantly, we can get a little history lesson from the legendary brother Maccabee.
I want you to really make some noise and welcome some constructive lyrics from our special guest, Mr. Maccabee. Give it up!
I'm not getting any sound from what I'm playing.
If a man in your house told you to come out and told you to live in the garden, if it happened to you, tell me what would you do when you fight and fight and fight them? If a man in your house
it's possible
and told you to live in the garden, if it happened to you, tell me what would you do
sound from what I'm playing. I don't know.
I told you to live in the garden, their intentions to you, tell me what would you do when you fight and fight them? If a man in your house, they went over to a hole with the garden, when it happened to you, tell me what would you do?
Sound from what I'm playing.
Looking at a western, when I'm watching the telly, I don't really see the red Indian as a real bad man. They told you to live in the garden, their intentions to you, tell me what would you do when you fight and fight them? They went over to a hole with the garden, when it happened to you, tell me what would you do?
Sound from what I'm playing.
Looking at a western, when I'm watching the telly, I don't really see the red Indian as a real bad man. They told you to live in the garden, their intentions to you, tell me what would you do when you fight and fight them? They went over to a hole with the garden, when it happened to you, tell me what would you do?
It's just not working for me, brother, in that sense.
I don't really see the red Indian as a real bad man.
Sorry, yeah.
They told you to live in the garden, their intentions to you, tell me what would you do when you fight and fight them?
Can you hear that? Can you hear Maccabee? Okay, well, I can't hear anything. It's just not working for me, brother, in that sense. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear that? Can you hear hear Maccabee? Okay, well, I can't hear anything. It's just not working for me, brother, in that sense. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear that? Can you hear Maccabee? Okay, well, I can't hear anything. It's just not working for me, brother, in that sense. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear that? Can you hear Maccabee? Okay, well, I can't hear anything. It's just not working for me, brother, in that sense. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear that? Can you hear Maccabee? Okay, well, I can't hear anything. It's just not working for me, brother, in that sense. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear that? Can you hear Maccabee? Okay, well, I can't hear anything. It's just not working for me, brother, in that sense. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear that? Can you hear Maccabee? Okay, well, I can't hear anything. It's just not working for me, brother, in that sense. Sorry, yeah. Can you hear that?
Yeah. But take that out of the way.
Yeah.
Because you technically don't need it anymore, do you?
No, but I do need it because everything I'm saying is on here. So, yeah. So, I mean, the problem, we're having real problems, brothers and sisters. I'm really not sure why we're having so many technical problems. We've really we've attempted to, do something here, but it's just not working out as I would like. I'm really trying to just continue to the best of my ability with the program, with the process. But at the present time, things are not looking so good. What we'll do is, we're recording things, and then we'll just have to edit it and put it out again so that you can really get a much better kind of example of what it is that we're trying to do today. It's unfortunate, but for a lot of our people, when we talk about history in this particular country, for instance, we can only think back to 1948 and the Empire Windrush. But what I wanted to really highlight today was the reality of how our history is so much more than Windrush and 1948. Our history is a very deep history. It's a very profound and powerful history. And I wanted to share with us today some of that reality, because like with Martin Luther King in America now, whenever anybody talks about him, or they look at him as an historical figure, they want to reduce the brother down to I Have a Dream. When it comes to brother Malcolm X, it's by any means necessary. But these people were just so much deeper and so much more powerful and so much more profound in what it was that they wanted to share with us, that we need to go just that little bit deeper. So fortunately, our history in Britain is far more illustrious, deeper, and more profound than this Empire Windrush in 1948. According to the Scottish folklorist and antiquarian David MacRitchie, who was born on the 16th of April, 1851, and died on the 14th of January, 1925, he proposed that stories of fairies originated with an Aboriginal race of Black people that occupied the British Isles before the Celts or any other groups of people arrived on these islands. This is David MacRitchie, a great historian who did a lot of research into the British Isles and the reality of the British Isles, and has come up with this notion, this concept that Black people, we were the originators here. We have been here before anybody else arrived, because again, we hear about the Vikings, we hear about this group, we hear about the Visigoths, we hear about that group, but how many of us as original people, as Black people, actually know that David MacRitchie wasn't just some lightweight historian, but he was a prolific author on all things historical when it comes to the British Isles. These are just a few of his works, just a few of the books that he wrote. He wrote Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 1, that was in 1884. Ancient and Modern Britons, Volume 2, 1884 as well. They both came out in the same year. Fians, Fairies and Picts, 1893. Another book he wrote, The Testimony of Tradition, 1890. Scottish Gypsies under the Stewards, 1892. Accounts of Gypsies of India, 1886. The Aenos, 1892. And The Savages of Gaelic Tradition, 1920. This was a prolific author and researcher and historian when it came to, and all of these works, when you go and study David MacRitchie, what you'll discover is that it's talking about Black people in ancient antiquity, Black people in ancient Britain, in ancient Europe. And this is really important for us to appreciate, brothers and sisters. David MacRitchie wrote, Blacks have been living in Britain from prehistoric times to the present era. This is what this white man wrote about us as a people. He wrote, Irish tradition tells of a giant-like race of Africans headed by a king with a retinue of priests called Fomorians. They were depicted as gloomy sea giants who brought their skills from Africa via Spain. And he writes, the original Celtic priesthood were Blacks. Brothers and sisters, sometimes some of these people, when they, get deep into their racism, like to say, why don't you lot get back to where you came from? But the reality is that this is where we came from. We originated all over planet Earth. David MacRitchie goes on, he says, the Roman historian Tacitus mentioned the dark complexion and unusually curly hair of the Silurs. These were ancient people in the British Isles, or Black Celts, who he believed migrated there from Spain. The Scots are themselves of Black origin. Ireland was once known as Scotia Magna, and Scotland was called Caledonia until about the 3rd century AD, when a tribe invaded Caledonia and the name was changed to Scotia. The Irish are said to have derived the name Scotia from the daughter of an Egyptian pharaoh named Scotta. The Fomorians are believed to be Carthaginians, pirates and or traders. Carthage was a Phoenician colony. Attempts have been made to classify them as Semites. You know, this is what happens in the modern rewriting of history, where they try to literally change the color or the identity of the people. And, you know, according to David McRitchie, attempts have been made to turn or to classify the people as Semites, but they belonged to the original Black race, the original Black people. So these are some of the practitioners of the martial arts that we've been doing today in commemoration of our Black History Month program. All of these martial arts, whether it's, you know, wrestling, traditional kind of kung fu, all of the hard styles of karate, all of these things, capoeira, as you know, practiced in places like Brazil. All of these martial arts originated from our people in Africa. All of these martial arts are Eastern art forms, African stick fighting, and all of these traditional art forms, which then eventually translated into places like Japan and China, where then they employed swords in the arts. All of it originated with Africans and African people. And so, you know, when we are training our young people today, and when we're using it for purposes of keep fit, and when we're using it to defend ourselves and to strengthen ourselves as a people, we're not trying to adopt or copy somebody else's art. What we are actually doing is returning back to what belonged to us in the first place. So, you know, it's really important, brothers and sisters, that we appreciate these art forms, these skills. And believe it or not, it doesn't matter your age, it doesn't matter your gender, you can master these skills. You know, boxing, one of the reasons why Black people dominate boxing today, because there was a certain point where we wasn't allowed to box. We weren't allowed to box and compete with white people who, you know, coined this terminology of the Marxbury of Queensbury rules. You know, they gave it to somebody else. They gave it a different identity, and for a long time, we were not allowed to participate, in particular in the heavyweight division. But then what happened? They allowed one of us to participate, i.e., brother Jack Johnson, and the next thing you know, he becomes the heavyweight champion of the world, knocking out all of the white opponents. And then from that day on, they were searching for a great white hope. And it's still going on today. Now they've got the Gypsy King, you know, Tyson Fury. But even if you understand even Tyson Fury, and you understand who the Gypsies are, and that his origin is from Black people, hence why Tyson has a little bit of style and fashion about him in terms of the way he moves, trying to move like a Muhammad Ali or whatever. Believe it or not, his ancestors were Blacks. His ancestors were Gypsies. His ancestors were these nomadic travelers who circumnavigated the entire planet. And so it always comes back around to us. It is us, brothers and sisters. And I really want us to really, you know, really begin to understand our history and who we really are as a people. Because of these historical Black people's seafaring prowess, the Black Egyptians entrusted them with the responsibility of providing them with their materials. They sailed to Cyprus for copper, the Iberian Peninsula for silver, to the Americas before the birth of Columbus, and as far as Britain for tin. This is the reality of our history, that the powers that be, the teachers and the historians would want us to believe that we had nothing to do with all of this industry and commerce that was going on many, many hundreds and thousands of years ago. Sheikh Anta Diop, in his work, The African Origin of Civilization, referred to the megaliths. And Sheikh Anta Diop was born on the 29th of December, 1923, and died on the 7th of February, 1986. He was a Senegalese historian, anthropologist, physicist, and politician who studied the human race's origins and pre-colonial African culture. Through Diop, although Diop is sometimes referred to as an Afrocentrist, he predates the concept. However, Diop thought, as it's called, is a paradigmatic to Afrocentricity. His work was greatly controversial in a world built on the ideology of white supremacy. Sheikh Anta Diop is a very, very important historian that we need to study. Sheikh Anta Diop said, these are found only in lands, talking about those megaliths, found in lands inhabited by Negroes or Negroids. In those days when he was writing, they used to use that terminology to describe us. And by the way, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us that the word Negro is not found in any of our indigenous ancient tongues or languages. It was a word that was concocted. It was a word that was designed specifically by the social scientists of the Europeans, because the word Negro has got nothing to do with complexion or color, but the word Negro comes from the Latin root word necro, which means something dead or something neutral. That's where you get words like necrophilia from. Necro meaning dead. Those, you got people who literally believe in making love to dead bodies. I mean, I won't go there, brothers and sisters, but this is the reality of necro or Negro, which is the root of Negro. It means something dead or neutral. And that's the condition that they hope to put Black people in. And to some degree, they succeeded in keeping us in a dead condition. And so when Sheikh Anta Diop was writing in those days, he used the term Negroes and Negroids, or in places that they have frequented, the area that Spisa called the Great Megalithic Civilization, which extends from Africa to India, Australia, South America, Spain, and Brittany. This was the extent of the megaliths that we put all around the planet Earth as original people back in the day. It is known that the Menhirs or dolmens of Brittany date back to an epoch of an agricultural and copper civilization. Brothers and sisters, moreover, Spain and Brittany were stopovers for the Phoenician or Negroid group, again that word, en route to pick up tin from the British Isles. The Basque, some of you have heard of, in Spain, there's a group called the Basques, and there's a group that they've classified as a terrorist group. They call them the Basque terrorists. Well, the Basques in Spain are considered to be a branch of the colony founded there by Black Africans. The Basque in Spain. Their language is totally different from any in Spain, and for that matter in Europe. It's a language that's been plucked out of Africa, the language that those Basque people in Spain speak to this very day. Blacks are also mentioned in Welsh folk tales, such as in the story of P.O.W.E.R in the some of these words are difficult for me, in the Mabinogion, which is like Welsh folk tales. These all go back to us as a people. They are sometimes referred to in, when they're talking about us historically, white people talking about the original black people who used to rule all of Europe. They talk about us on flattering terms. They use terms like ugly. They say that we were misshapen and that we were oppressors because we were the rulers. The original knights of Europe, including the knights of King Arthur's Round Table, were black. Again, this is something that we need to understand about a lot of European history. We don't necessarily appreciate how much we figured historically in the foundational creation of what we come to know today as European civilization. There was an African, Gormund, who ruled Ireland at the time of the Anglo-Saxons, an African ruling Ireland. There was also blacks among the Vikings, brothers and sisters. The first king to unite Norway was black. He was known as Halfdan the Black. He was not called black simply because of the color of his hair, but because he was black-skinned. The Roman emperor, Septimus Severus, many of you should know about Septimus Severus. They've even got statues of him. But the Roman emperor, Septimus Severus, who led a conquest of Britain, was a full-blooded African born in North Africa. One of the black Vikings was known as Thornhall, living at the time of Eric the Red. Again, when you study, British European history, you'll read about Eric the Red, the Viking, but they're saying that he was influenced also by black. He was among the crew that took the Vikings to the shores of North America before the birth of Columbus. You see, because again, Columbus discovered America. Columbus discovered the Caribbean. No, he didn't. We've been there long, long, long before. That's why in the Americas, you find those great heads of the Olmecs, black features, black people, because we were there long, long before Columbus. He has been described as a large man and strong, black, and like a giant. They describe him as silent and foul-mouthed. I don't know how you can be silent and foul-mouthed at the same time in his speech. And always they said he egged on Eric to the worst and he was a bad Christian. Well, he wasn't a Christian at all because he was an original man. The Black Britons were sometimes referred to as shameless Irish robbers. And the word Scot came to be synonymous with the term vagabond. This is some of our history because we're in Black History Month and we want to talk about some of that history that you will never ever hear anything about within the contemporary reality of education, within the contemporary reality of society. On the origin of the word blackmail, David McRitchie tells us that the expression applied by the inhabitants of Wales to the tribute exacted from their prince Meredith by the Danish pirates, Black Danes of the year 987 AD, virtually signified blackmail. And moreover, the tribute of the Black Army precisely phrased the tax paid by Theodosius to Rugilas, king of the Huns, 5 centuries before. Brothers and sisters, it was blackmail. That is the origin of the term. Dane Gelt was blackmail, equally with the tribute paid to the Black Huns by the Romans. However, whites did not consider blacks in early Europe as being all evil and dangerous. Not all whites necessarily had that streak of racism where they were terrified of us to the degree where they would, you know, classify us and talk about us in those negative terms. Not all of them did that. David McRitchie cites a writer in Ancient and Modern Britons who claimed that insofar as I have been able to observe, this is what this white writer wrote, the black race is superior to the fair in stature and strength. In respect of intellect, they are acute, accurate observers of natural phenomena, quick of apprehension and fluent in speech. This is what some white writer was writing about us in ancient antiquity. In their moral character, they are at least much superior to the population of most of the lowland parishes. The Scottish historian David McRitchie further tells us that Alpin, the father of Kenneth MacAlpin, Mac means son of, was half Scottish black and half Pictish black. These were people, brothers and sisters, who occupied Europe, occupied England, you know, literally hundreds and hundreds of years ago. Kenneth, the son, was the first to unite the two primary branches of blacks in Scotland. Did you know that in the 10th century, there was a Scottish king, a black Scottish king called King P.O.W.E.R? We'll come on to some of that in a moment. In The African Origin of Civilization by Sheikh Anta Diop, we are told that the king of Ghana was called Maga, and that the word could have been originated as far back as the 3rd century BC, like the Saracol language. In the 2nd volume of Ancient and Modern Britons, we are presented with Magadub, which is the Scottish language of the time, at which in the Scottish language of the time meant black king. That's what it meant, brothers and sisters. Magadub. This was the name of the black king who was ruling Scotland in those days. Two British writers, Gerald Macy and Godfrey Higgins, believed that blacks actually built Stonehenge. Gerald Macy, in volume 1 of his work, A Book of the Beginnings, claims that Stonehenge was built by a black architect known as Maurian. He says, now as a Negro is still known as Maurian in English, may not this indicate that Maurian belonged to the black race, the Cushite builders? I mean, all of this, you know, I'll never forget that we are taught that everything that we ever need to know or should know has already been written in a book. And we're also taught that the way that you hide something from black people is to put it in a book, because it's already written, brothers and sisters. It's already written, and it's just for us now to get to that point where we once again become a people who study, a people who read, a people who acknowledge and recognize that, you know, history doesn't belong to somebody else. And we don't want to just have a Black History Month, but we want to recognize that Black history actually is world history, and that history is what we made, and history is what we continue to make, and we must continue this process of learning, growing, developing, because as we are in the 21st century, you know, and moving forward at a rapid pace, coming out of this time of trouble, the future belongs to us. The future belongs to our children. And we have to begin to project ourselves into the future and not mark time thinking that somehow, you know, the future belongs to somebody else because they've brainwashed us or miseducated us to think that the future belongs to somebody else because the past was established by somebody else. No, we were a foundational rock, a foundational stone of the past, and we have to now build on that past in order to project ourselves into a great future. And so, brothers and sisters, I really wish that this could have gone a bit better. I hope that some little thing that we said today has been of help. I hope that we've added to your knowledge, your wisdom, your understanding about real Black history. And we will go further and we will do more. And there will be more shows of this. There will be more shows of this nature in the future. But for now, we're going to sign off. We've had some difficulties, but nonetheless, you know, as I said, there'll be more Image and Nation programs, and there'll be a video. We'll put together a video for you tomorrow that we'll post online so that you can observe some of the other things that you may not have actually seen properly. And then we'll add in, like I said, some stuff also from P.O.W.E.R, hopefully. And don't forget that on Thursday evening at 6:30, the Image and Nation show will be back this Thursday, and we'll be there every Thursday, God willing, inshallah, we say in Arabic, and we'll be broadcasting to you, and we'll be bringing you content that will be of benefit to you. And also, you know, we want you to like, we want you to subscribe, and we want you to, you know, promote, you know, share, spread the information around, because as I said, we're like little babies right now with the technology, but slowly but surely we're getting there. So I thank you for allowing me this opportunity to come to you wherever you are viewing, and I look forward to touching base with all of you again very, very soon. Thank you for listening. May the Creator bless you as I greet you, as I found you in peace. Assalamu alaikum, shalom alaikum. Thank you, and good evening. Yes.
You know something, sir?
Yes, sir.
Today has been a brilliant